Good afternoon, Hammers fans. It's Nick from Claret and Booze, and welcome to my daily ramble. Right, to start off with, I'm going to try and commit to making as fewer mistakes as possible in this video. Every bloody video, because we do these videos in one take, right? But the last was, there's always a couple, but the last one was a joke. I just quickly watched the first bit back, and you can't even hear yourself saying these things. I'm referring to the World Cup break as a summer. I must have said it 5 times, so I even had to put a little pinned comment in my video as soon as I posted it, just to apologise for people. But no, that was a really good video. That was the Pochettino Tuchel one. Got some great comments on that. Really have. I've read them all. I just haven't had time to reply to them all because there's 250 of them. So I'm going to go through them all, and I am going to probably do another show maybe on Saturday where I review a couple of those comments because there's some great suggestions in there. And they're really good. So make sure you do continue commenting on them on that as well, particularly on that last video, because like I say, I will follow up with another video on that. It's just going to take some prep. As always, if you are new to the channel and you like what you see, please subscribe. But most importantly, for this one, drop a like on it. Drop a like on the video because it tells YouTube to share it far and wide. Right, so what we're going to talk about today, I'm going to give you a brief update on some of the developments with Moyes. I know that some channels out there are saying, oh, well, it's getting boring now. We don't want to talk about Moyes. I'd rather talk about the transfer window. About players that are never going to be coming in to a manager who's just been given 3 games to save his job. They're not going to back him with anything, are they? So I'm not going to. But there's no point reporting on stuff like that. I'm going to, while there is news, and there is news, there have been developments since we last spoke. I'm going to continue talking about that. Going to touch on Mark Noble a little bit later on as well, because that is some good news. That's the fact that he's starting with us. Hopefully, that's going to give us a bit of a lift. But yeah, look, let's get started anyway. So. Moving on from, it was Monday's video where I reported that Tuchel and Poch had reportedly been approached by the club, but they'd knocked them back at this stage. We again, we had that checked. That story was kind of verified by 2 sets of people. There's lots of people that are saying it isn't true, but that's always going to happen. You're always going to get people that like to release information that haven't got that. They'll try and discredit it. It's just a way of the world. But they're happy to go and put out uncorroborated transfer stories. But yeah, so again, that was confirmed as true. The Thomas Tuchel one, which is, because out of the 2 of them, Poch and Tuchel, I would take Poch. But I think that one is currently still dead in the water. I've heard a little bit more, and again, this one hasn't been confirmed, but I've heard a little bit more about Thomas Tuchel, and that is that the club believe that he could be persuaded because he lives in London, his kids are settled in London, he loves London, he doesn't want to move on. There is a rumour that he's kind of sticking around for the England job because I think this probably will be Southgate's last hurrah. It probably will be. Whatever happens with Southgate, if he wins it, why would you continue? If he gets if he goes out early, he's got to go. And if he gets to a latter stage and fails, gets to a final and fails again, I doubt he can't keep on going. So I think this is definitely Southgate's last opportunity. So maybe Thomas Tuchel's onto something. Maybe there is an opportunity there for him. I don't know. But like I say, there is the fact that Thomas likes London or loves London. He's settled, wants to stay. We're an interesting proposition for a man like him, and I honestly think a lot of it's going to come down to money. It's going to come down to cash, and why not? Why not? I'm sure that we could offer to pay him as much as what the FA could pay him for the England job. It wouldn't be cheap, but they're not going to be. It might be double what David Moyes is, but when you look at what David Moyes has just spent in a transfer window, if you got to pay someone 10 million a year, so fucking what? What difference does it make? You might actually have a manager that could grow a player's value as opposed to depreciate it, because that 180 million that David Moyes has just spent is probably going to be worth about 50 million in the summer. So you got to weigh these things up. You got to weigh them up. It's Yeah, I think it would be exciting. I know Thomas Tuchel isn't everybody's cup of tea. There are some people that say, "Look, oh, he's negative. He's like Moyes. He's nothing like Moyes. He's nothing like Moyes." Anyone who watched him at Dortmund and PSG, look, listen, the guy is a winner. So he hasn't got this kind of ingrained, beautiful football philosophy at all costs. He won't do that. The guy's a winner. He'll play good football, but then likewise he'll be pragmatic and look at a situation, and he will do what he has to do to get a result, not through fear of losing. It's just a different strategy that he would devise to win the game. Where you think the probability is more if we play this way, this is how we could beat them. They got a weakness there. Let's do this. It's different. There's no fear with Thomas Tuchel. So yeah, that for me that could be interesting. There's been some other names mentioned in that video as well in the comment section from you lovely lot. Someone mentioned Ruud van Nistelrooy. Really good shout. Hadn't thought about him. He's at PSV. Very technical manager, highly regarded. He's quite new, I suppose. He hasn't got loads of experience, but yeah, he's doing very well at PSV. I think his style of football would suit what we want as fans. I think he'd be embraced. The other one, which I've kind of been completely overlooking, is Roberto Mancini. As we know, Scamacca kind of confides in Mancini. They've got a great relationship. I think that could be a brilliant fit. As we know, Mancini is a born winner. He is, similar to Tuchel. He'll play high intensity football and he'll play this certain way. But like they're winners. They are winners. They play how they need to play to win. And there is a difference between being pragmatic to win a game and being pragmatic to not lose a game. David Moyes is the latter. It's defence first. How can I stop him from scoring? And then he'll just hope for something else later on. Yeah, so there's loads. I mentioned Marcelo Gallardo in the last video as well. There are plenty of managers out there. There really are. So I don't think that we're going to have to wait too long. Yes, the story is, as I said at the start of this video, and that's the official line, is that the club are going to give David Moyes 3 games after this fortuitous 6-week break, with which to earn his stripes and to keep his job. I mean, if that is the case, which I don't believe, I believe it's the official line. It's what they're kind of, they're starting to turn the screw now. Their messaging is changing, public messaging. But if that was the case, that's idiotic, because that means that you've already decided that he's not good enough, but you're going to give him a chance to save himself. But in doing so, you're sacrificing a fantastic opportunity in that 6-week break to give someone a chance to come in, lay foundations, implement their philosophy, get used to the players, decide what they need for January, everything. And then we could really kick on in the second half of the season. So to sacrifice that for a completely unwinnable game against Arsenal, for a home game against Brentford, who always get one up on us, and an away game against Leeds. Not that I think he'll make it that far, because I think we'll get hammered at home to Arsenal, and I don't think we'll get anything out of Brentford. So what would be the fucking point in keeping him for the Leeds game? But that's not the point. Yeah, fine, great. He's lost his 3 games. They get rid of him. You've just wasted an amazing opportunity. For what? It makes no sense. And that's what I mean. It makes no sense. It's incredibly unlikely that David Moyes is going to get the points that he needs from those games. Are they really going to sacrifice this opportunity that we've got? Throw it on the roulette table. It doesn't make it. We just lost 3 home games. Against Crystal Palace, who have not been great, against Blackburn's B team, and against Leicester, who lost their best player after 25 minutes and became relatively average. We still couldn't beat them. They still beat us. So there's no sense to it. Anyone who's got a footballing brain within that club, there must be someone is going to be looking at this, and you must look at the situation and go, look, if you're going to act now. And the other thing as well, right? I appreciate that it's not going to be a bad thing for the players to go away and have a break after the tournament. After this part, there's a mistake. I just heard that one as I said it. To have a break after the first part of the season. I can understand it. Give them a week off, but he's given them 2 weeks off, right? Bearing in mind that some of the players came back overweight. They can lose a load of conditioning in 2 weeks. If Jared Bowen goes to Marbella and he's fucking stuffing his face full of KFC for 2 weeks, like it looked like he'd been doing after the summer, then pot kettle black. I'm a little bit rotund as well. But I'm not a professional footballer. But then they're going to come back. They're not going to be ready to go, are they? After the winter break for the World Cup, not summer, the winter break. They're not going to be ready to go. And to add insult to injury, I read on Tuesday that David Moyes is himself going to Qatar. No, not Qatar. It said Dubai. On holiday. Well, it's grown from there. Apparently, he ain't. He's going to work at the World Cup again. Now, if that is the case, now I've read that in 2 places now, official news sites. If that is the case, and he is out there for an extended period throughout these 6 weeks, then that has got to tip the scales for the board against him and go, do you know what? The guy has got no fucking intention of doing anything to help himself, to help this team, to help this club. Because if David Moyes isn't important, then why is he here? So David Moyes needs to be working with that group of players. We've only got 5 players going to the World Cup. He's got the rest of that squad to work with. The only thing that I can think of is that he thinks, I don't need to change anything. It's great, it's fine. They just need a break. We've been really unfortunate. We've been really unlucky. They know what I need from them. They understand, let's just give them a break. I'll go and do me World Cup and then we'll come back and everything's going to be great. That's the only viable excuse that I can think of in his mindset. That is justification. He should be in rush green for 5 weeks to 6 weeks. A lot of the other clubs that are doing well, they can have a break. We fucking can't. A lot of the teams down the bottom with us, they're on the up. They can have a break. We can't. We're on the slide. So I don't really. I was baffled when I saw that. It was jaw dropping that he could potentially be going to work for an extended period in the World Cup, which means he isn't going to be working with West Ham and implementing. Mind you, having said that, when I say implementing his new philosophy, what fucking new philosophy? He's only got one philosophy. So all he's going to do is leave the training staff with the team to keep on, getting the defence in the midfield to sort of set up as traffic cones and, work on Skamaka doing his best impersonation of Antonio for 6 weeks, That's all I can think that is. But look, moving on from that anyway, I don't know whether you all saw the Thomas Kral interview. It's quite damning, to be honest. It's been reported already on a few channels, but I've not spoken to you for a few days, so I'm just going to touch on that quickly. That is damning. We all know that he came out, after he left, and he gave a similar sort of interview, saying that he found David Moyes completely unapproachable. He used to sort of work try his hardest. He'd go back to his car after training and cry. A lot of people might sort of laugh at that, but when you think about it, you're a young guy. You've just gone to another country. You might not even know the bloody language. How lonely would that be? And you're going to work in an environment where the guy that is important clearly thinks that you're fucking worthless, and you're putting in everything you can in the training session. The guy's just not looking at you. It would be hard, but he's kind of built on that, and he's confirmed everything that he said. And he said in the whole time that he was here for a year, he spoke to David Moyes once. He mentioned the Frankfurt game, where we all knew the players were on their asses. We all knew it. He said the players knew they were tired. He said, I knew they were tired. He said, I think that was when he approached David Moyes. And he just wouldn't use any of he wouldn't use them. He said, his quote was, David Moyes likes to use his own players. I mean, how fucking bad is that? It just confirms everything that we've seen. And I know that some people are going to say, oh, that's just a scorned ex-player that's gone. You can't put any weight in that. That's some people are just spiteful. Well, I'm sorry, no, we saw it play out. He's doing relatively well where he is in Schalke. He's playing. They're not doing bad. You've only got to look at Vlasic. Vlasic is reborn. He's reborn. He's being played in his natural position. He said the same thing. He said similar things. He hasn't sort of said things directly about David Moyes, but by saying how perfect things are for him there, he's saying how imperfect things were for him here. So it's the same situation, and you've only got to look at the way that he plays. And when you look at Paqueta in that central position, again, not having a go at Paqueta, I think Paqueta will come good with the right manager. I struggle to see that Paqueta could have been any better at the start of this season up to this point than Vlasic would have been in that number 10 position if you'd have just tried and played him in that position. I'll tell you what he is. He's a lot more industrious. Paqueta is industrious, but he's dirty. You know, he goes in late with challenges, kicks people, gets a yellow card every game. It's frustration. It's petulance. You know, he's not really a good tackler. Vlasic was hard-working. He was. If anything, Vlasic was more of a Moyes player, but he just refused to play him in that central position, in that number 10. But Paqueta, he can't. I understand why. He's just paid 50 million for him. But why did we never try Vlasic there? It makes no sense. And we're gonna make a ridiculous loss on that player. And that kind of moves me on to what I referred to earlier on. Is there another manager in world football that can depreciate a player like David Moyes? Is there? You know, Sebastian Haller, I know he didn't sign him, but when you come into a job, a football club, you've got to take on board their assets as your own and grow them and do your best. That's part of your remit. That's part of your job. Don't just come in and go, no, they're not my fucking players. Fuck them. You know, ignore the fact that the club just spent 45 million about 6 months to a year earlier on Sebastian Haller, and look at the loss we made on Anderson. He didn't even try to get the best out of him. We're seeing the same things that we saw with Haller with Scamacca. No difference. It's the same pattern is repeating itself again. We lost 20 million on, was it 20 or 25 on Haller? We lost a ridiculous, it was an insane amount on Anderson. We sold him for 2 million in the end. You know, he was up there near our record player. Gone. He's doing well. Anderson's on fire. He looks all right. You know, I tell you what, I'd rather have Anderson out on the right than Jared Bowen. Yes, I would. I'd rather have him out on the right because again, that's something we never did. We never played Anderson out on the fucking right. We used to play him on the left. As soon as he's gone back to Lazio, they're playing him out wide right. He looks amazing. He's a proper winger. But again, we could have used him out there. Vlasic, you look at what we've done with him. Moyes bought him himself. 25 million, and we're going to sell him for 13 a year later. You've got these new players. Emerson, fuck me, what's happened to his value? We're not going to get anywhere near 18 for him. You're going to get about 5 for him if you ever look at letting him go. You look at Cornet. Cornet is done nothing for us since he's been here, even when he's played. He looks sharp, he looks tricky, but he's renowned as a sick note. You know, just ridiculous amounts of niggly injuries that keep him out for extended periods. He's, like as I said in the last video, he stayed true to that tag. It's the same thing. There's no difference. He ain't going to be worth what we just paid for him by the time he goes. If we can get rid of him, you look at Paqueta, you look at Scamacca. The only one who's probably climbed in value is a player that David Moyes didn't really want by the looks of it, and that's Flynn Downs. Flynn Downs will probably be worth more now. We paid 12 million for him. So, like I say, the guy that's part of your job as a manager is to protect the club, not just on the pitch. But when you're David Moyes and you want full control of the business, which is basically what he wants, because if you're controlling ins and outs and contracts and everything else, that is the business. You've got full control of it. Then you've got to be responsible with that. You've got these players are assets. You've got to grow those assets. You've got to play them. You've got to get the best out of them. He can't fucking do it. You know, I've seen other channels go and suggest what we should do really when we get back after the break is go back to basics. Take out Scamacca, take out Paqueta, basically take out all the new players and go back to do what wasn't working at the tail end of last season, by the way. It didn't work for between January and the end of the season. December and the end of the season. They're saying go back to that, you know, because they're thinking before that, you know, when it worked, because it's been bad now under David Moyes, almost for as long as it was good. We had 18 good months. We've had a bad year. Not discounting the Europa, of course. If you remove that, it's been fucking shocking. He wouldn't have made it through the summer. I've lost my train of thought. But it's not good. It's not good at the moment. Something's got to happen. They've got to get a manager in that can do something with these players. Just do something with them. We've got flair players. We've got a really talented squad. We are attractive. But the longer they leave it, the fact is, somebody to come in now, I think it's an attractive proposition. This is the other thing between leaving it now and leaving it after the next 3 games have expired. We're going to become way less attractive at that point. We are. It doesn't make any sense, which is why, apart from the information that we've been given, common sense would tell me anyway that they are going to do something if they can. They will be going out there. They will be getting another manager in. And I have been given some other information as well, but I'm not going to report it just yet, just to save other channels pissing their knickers because I'm not going to do that. So I'm going to hold on to that for a bit. But yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting. I know it's cruel to do that. Sorry. Blame the others, bastards. Okay, Mark Noble. Let's finish on a high. Mark Noble, he's obviously joined the club as a sporting director. He actually starts when we return to football. So does Mark Noble. What his role entails, I don't know. Sporting director sounds very important, doesn't it? It does. I think in the continental scene, the sporting director is almost the director of football. They run all aspects of, or many aspects of the club, particularly player recruitment, style, ethos, manager recruitment, stuff like that. I can't imagine for the life of me. We had a bit of a debate on WhatsApp last night, and John's of the opinion that it's just a token title, that he's almost going to be an ambassador for the team, and he's basically been brought in as out of panic to give a lift to the players to get David Moyes' machine moving again. Although that makes sense, it does. I don't know that Mark Noble would have signed off on that. I don't think so. I think that what's happened is I think Mark Noble's held off, and he's held off long enough, and he's negotiated himself a strong position within the club. He's completely inexperienced, but you only get experience through doing it. And he knows the club inside out. He's not inexperienced with West Ham, is he? You know, there is no one more experienced with West Ham than Mark Noble. But I was trying to sort of wrap my head around the fact that obviously Mark Noble's coming. Before he's coming, he's done his TalkSport interview. He's vehemently backed David Moyes. He's done this and he's done that. And I was thinking, look, I know that Mark Noble's heart and soul is West Ham 100%. That's why he's come back. You know, that's why he never left. But could there be an element of institutionalisation with Mark Noble, kind of a fear of the unknown? Obviously, I know he's played under other managers, but most recently it was David Moyes. He gets on very well with him. He's embarking on a new life outside of the pitch, still within football, and it's a high-powered job that he's negotiated for himself. He's going to have to deliver. You know, he'll obviously have a bedding-in period. It's almost going to be like an apprenticeship at first, but having somebody like David Moyes, who was probably instrumental to him coming in, Moyes is going to have far less expectations of Mark Noble than perhaps somebody new who has no relationship with Mark Noble would. So could it be that Mark Noble was thinking, fucking hell, just got this job, Moyes can't go yet. He can't go yet. You know, what if what if Tuchel or Poch comes in? They're going to be like, who's Mark Noble? Telling me what players I need. So it could be that. But nonetheless, that aside, I said I was going to finish on a positive. I ain't doing a good job, am I? My God, I'm terrible. The positive is, if anyone is going to give a lift to this club and to that group and to that squad, it's going to be Mark Noble. If he's officially involved in the club, and hopefully he can get involved, you know, in more than just at a high level. He can introduce some fun back into that squad, try and bring them together again. That can only be a good thing. I still don't think it's going to be anywhere near enough for David Moyes to save him, because the guy is tactically fucking shot. He's gone. He's only got one tactic. It ain't working. He's scratching his head. You know, he's going to be going over to the World Cup as an analyst, watching Brazil, scratching his head, not looking at how well Paqueta's doing in a deeper role, but going, wonder how I could fit Thomas Souček or Bowen into this team. Can't teach an old dog new tricks. So, that's it from me. Try to end on a positive. But we are going to get positive at the weekend, people. Yes, we are. We are back for our World Cup edition of Claret and Booze, where I'm gonna divert my attention from David Moyes to that waistcoated bloke, Gareth Southgate. When do we play Iran? I think it's on the Monday, isn't it, or the Tuesday? So I know it all kicks off on Sunday, but we're going to be doing our live show on Sunday night as per usual, but with a different theme. We're going to shelve West Ham for a show. We are, and we're going to become agnostic, club agnostic. Whoever wants to come on, apart from Spurs fans can fuck off. I don't want to talk to them. Anyone else from any other clubs, that's fine. Come on, that's fine. But yeah, no Spurs. But yeah, so join us on Sunday. It'll be fun. All right? Okay. Well, look, let me know what you thought of the video. Very rambly today. Let me know how many mistakes I made. Do a little counter, you know. I think I started off all right, didn't I? I don't think I made that many. We shall see. Thank you for watching. I'm still talking. Thank you for watching. I've been Nick. And, yeah. See you later. Come on, you irons.